Kindly take your seats and either switch off your mobile phones or please put them on silent mode. This session is being moderated by Shayma Saiyid. Shayma Saiyid is a choreographer and performer in the Kathak, modern dance, and contemporary dance forms. She is also a writer. Shayma trained in Kathak since age 6 in Lahore under Pakistan's iconic dance teacher Maharaj Ghulam Hussain for over 7 years and later with Nighat Chaudhry. She subsequently trained in the Odyssey form and in yoga with Shima Kirmani and has been inspired and influenced by Nahid Siddiqui, Jahanara Akhlaq, and Fasi Rahman. She studied choreography and modern dance at Grinnell College under B.G. Wortman, danced and choreographed with the Grinnell Dance Troupe and later trained at various institutions such as Bernard College, the American Dance Festival, Dance New Amsterdam, and Dance Space. Shayma's writings on dance in Pakistan have been published in the International Encyclopedia of Dance, published by OUP in 1998 in USA. The total duration of the session is 60 minutes. We would appreciate if complete silence is observed while the session is in progress. A question and answer session will be held at the end. Please raise your hands and the microphone will be brought to you. Please keep your questions short and precise and refrain from making a statement. Thank you.
Nahid Siddiqui is an artistic beacon showing us and offering us to us the highest elements of the art form of Kathak. Nahid's choreography has been original and groundbreaking, blending traditional and contemporary vocabularies and extending Kathak's repertoire towards developing it as a new and universal vocabulary. She's a visionary who is recognized all over the world for contributing her own style, technique, and expression, gharana, imbued and informed by Islamic aesthetics, sensibilities, and spiritualities. She's received many awards, but the way I'm going to do it is just go chronologically through her life right now and ask her to, elaborate on different phases. Because it's, I feel that Nahid's life has been has really very much in her life as a dancer, unfortunately, has been so enmeshed in the politics of Pakistan. Even when she was around in primary school, Ayub Khan came to power, and Nahid, your father, Muhammad Bashir Siddiqui, a government civil servant, was sentenced to jail for 10 years because he allegedly printed material against Marshall.
No.
He didn't, but
In
it
the
was an
office,
accusation.
this activity was going on. And when martial law is in power, nobody asks whether you did it or not. So I'm not defending him, but the fact is, in the same place, some posters were printed against martial law. He was one of the persons who was arrested and sentenced for 10 years.
But he served only 2 years, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Should I talk?
So,
Yeah.
I'll just
Go ahead, yeah.
So, and your family up until then had not ventured into the able arts, but because of this financial trouble, because your mother had 4 children she had to raise, she was only educated until 5th grade. She used to wear a burqa, had never worked outside the home. But because of this financial problem, she had to, because her husband was in jail, she had to go and get a job. And your neighbor, Shakil Ahmed, advised her that she should go to the radio, and she auditioned for singing and acting and became a star because of her talents. And you wrote that I'm just reading from what you wrote actually, when he was released from jail, it was such a shock to him that
Okay, I'll be brief about it because, basically, really now I realize how martial laws affect nations, countries, and families like mine. I was very, very young at that time, very, very deeply attached to my father. And suddenly he was removed from my family he was no more there, and I used to see my mother crying all the time. But because she's a brave woman and she didn't want to really go to any other source for us, so I didn't know. I used to quietly uh, cry, feel, and I used to go to Happy Home School, and I was in nursery. And my mother, because it was an expensive school, my mother went and said she will not study. I must mention this because I'm forever grateful to Mrs. Faruqi, the headmistress of Happy Home School. And my mother said, I can't afford to keep her in the same school because this has happened. My husband has been arrested, and so I can't afford anything now. So Mrs. Faruqi said that, till her father comes back from jail, she would be paying 1 rupee only, but she will stay in the same school and she will study here. And so I stayed on, but the psychological turmoil that a child goes through, even to go to pay the fee, which was 1 rupee, because all my friends were from elite class, and I was hiding it from them, and क्या हुआ?
ये इसमें से इतना loud आ रहा है, उसमें से आ ही नहीं रहा है.
Sorry about this. So, to cut the long story short, my mother, in the process, was auditioned by the Radio Pakistan, and she started from radio, and she passed all her auditions, and singing, announcer, and all that drama, and she was very, very beautiful also, and very young, very young. So that's how her journey as an artist started. And she became, within 2 years that my father was in jail, a star. She was on billboards. When my father came out of jail, for 2.5 years he was there, and his world had changed. I remember only going to jail for twice. We were in Karachi. And I was absolutely, I became a very, very silent and quiet child. And I think that gave a vent to an expression like dance. Because my sadness inside me, still about all that is there. But obviously, what helped me as an artist was to look at my mother and follow. And I was exposed to whatever dance was happening at that time also, because she had started to perform on stage as well. She used to sing, she used to present artists. And so that way I would tag along as a little child and see all the, at that time, I remember in classical dance, I remember Amy Meenwala. I've seen her perform Panna as a child. And, that left such a beautiful image of a dancer in my mind, because of I didn't know about the technicalities, but the decorative element and all that I was very, very impressed, and that left a great mark with me. But at home, when my father came back, he could not obviously adjust for quite a while, because he had left a housewife, simple serving housewife who had become a star now. And she was picked and dropped and performing and everything. And, but he loved us very much. So obviously he adjusted beautifully, and he was a great man.
And I'm sure he was also impressed by the fact that she stood up on her own feet and didn't ask anyone for...
Yes, but you know how it is about performing arts. If it's... it was a shock, but he adjusted. He had appreciated her very much. And obviously later on, martial law affected again me. I was banned. I don't want to jump to that, but I'm just connecting how martial laws And these things, are such a great hindrance in life.
So in 1969, I believe you moved to Lahore because of your mother's, because she had become the breadwinner by then.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Lahore, and that is when you joined. That's when you met Maharaj Ghulam Hussain. Is that right?
Actually, yes. I did my 8th grade from Happy Home. Then I went to Lahore because the film industry had moved to Lahore. So my mother and all of us moved to Lahore. She was very busy. And then I went to Lindsay Day School for 1 year. Essena Foundation, I did my matriculation. And then I was in Happy Home Economics College. In 1971, I met Maharaj Ghulam Hussain, Baba. I call him Baba. And that's how my training started. And he was in Lahore. I was very lucky to find him at that time because, he was a picture of our tradition, our classical heritage. Just to look at him was enough for me. He carried एक ज़माना अपने साथ वो लेके चलते थे. So that was very fortunate that I met him because असल में dance is such a subject which is not taught in schools in Pakistan. And even the audience for classical dance has to be trained up to at least a certain level to appreciate actually what is happening. Because people just see that image and they go along with that, they don't know. Now obviously with the exposure and world becoming global, people know more about it. But even then, a subject which is so deep and has to be studied, it was very difficult to find a teacher here. Because there were no teachers of dance really after the partition. And I don't think that dance has ever been introduced as part of academia after the partition. And that is really a very, very new subject still. And I'm struggling to, put it across in a way that people actually, and our children and our youth and, people of tomorrow actually, are not left out to experience something so deep, spiritual and beautiful and a complete art.
So after Maharaj Ghulam Hussain, while you were still with him, I think you joined the PIA Arts Academy, and then with Bhutto you travelled with his entourage. That was the PIA Arts Academy, travelling with Bhutto, and then I'm just trying to bring it to 1980 when you went to Birju Maharaj after that. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering why you went from, if you could just talk a bit about what took you to India? Why did you feel that you wanted to go to India? And also, if you can talk about Baba Maharaj's technique, Birju Maharaj's technique, and then your own technique, which is very different from both of your two masters, your two teachers.
Okay, long journey, but I'll just when in 1971 I started to learn from Maharaj. Before that, in my school, actually, I would perform and I would choose मिलाद में भी हिस्सा ले रही हूँ and हर जो बच्चों का एक होता है, but एक ज़रा I think that suppression in the beginning that I faced by not having my father around and having going through what I did as a child closed me up as a child. And I didn't have voice. I didn't have a voice. But I think that quiet voice actually turned towards dance, towards an expression. And I was performing already in my school as well, without learning. I would always opt for dance. So I don't know, there's this compelling urge for movement, to express myself, in totality was what I was used to as a child. And then later in 71 I saw Maharaj, I learned from him, And then after learning for 2 years, I was invited by then Pakistan International Airlines, which was run by Noor Khan Sahab was there, and he was the PIA head of the international, PIA International. And the best thing at that time was really what we need now as well, is that, we would be sponsored by PIA as an academy. And it started with few members and it built up to 100 people. So we had musicians, dancers, and that was when Bhutto Sahab came in power. So he supported this academy, and that way, we could really perform all over the world. But again, I would say that it was not meant for Pakistan, which was a shame. Instead of showing all those performances here and touring, training our masses or training our own people, the foreign policy, according to that, I think that academy existed. But okay, I joined that academy and my training was still going on with Baba Maharaj. And then after learning for 3-4 years, I was aware, because he used to say that he's learned from Achan Maharaj, who is Birju Maharaj's father. So one day I was very, but the great faith that we had together on each other, Maharaj and myself, really helped me to say something that normally teachers take very, they can say, why is she leaving me? Is she leaving me? Why does she want to go? So I was aware of one thing. मेरी जो रस्म होती है, एक हमारे यहाँ ट्रेडिशन होती है क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक में और कथक में और सारे ये जो डीप रूटेड आर्ट्स हैं, सीना बसीना उस्ताद टू शागिर्द. बेसिकली शागिर्द का मतलब मुझे महाराज ने बताया, शाह के गिर्द रहने वाला. तो वो एक उस्ताद की मौज होती है, वो पता नहीं किस वक्त रात को शागिर्द को कहे भाई ये चीज़ अब ये याद करो. तो वो इस तरह की एक सरेंडर है, इस तरह का सरेंडर है कि वो इन आर्ट्स में बहुत ज़रूरी है. बहुत यू नीड दैट अंडरस्टैंडिंग फ्रॉम द स्टूडेंट्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू एज वेल. एंड बिकॉज महाराज बिलोंग्ड टू दैट ट्रेडिशन, I had spent my whole days with Maharaj. All the other students would come and go, और मैं उनकी जान खाती रहती थी. And my mother would send the car 4-5 times, and I wouldn't like to go home. So वो मेरा सारा, मुझे जैसे एक अपनी दुनिया मिल गई. So we made a beautiful bond together, Maharaj and myself, and we were the best of friends. Obviously, that respect and everything. But he opened me as a woman. He opened me up as a person. He said, and so it was great. And then I realized मेरी जो रस्म में शागिर्दी हुई थी, गंडा बांधते हैं, and then उस दिन से एक फॉर्मल एक चीज़ हो जाती है कि she is my student. So that way actually एक जिम्मेदारी एक उस्ताद की भी हो जाती है. And also, the student also is kind of engaged, and it's like a marriage. So when that was happening, great masters were sitting at that ceremony, like Ustad Salamat Ali Khan, Ustad Chote Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, Ustad Shaukat Khan Sahab, Sharif Khan Punchwale, sare really of that time, and that happened at the Arts Council, Lahore. And I remember that, I knew, for an artist to have that, know-how or that wisdom is very important, to know where exactly you are, how much you do. And as a student, it's very, very difficult. But I knew that, I cannot excel anymore here. Now this is a big debate. I'll tell you what Baba Maharaj passed on to me was the tradition, the heritage, his love, his personality, his philosophy, and his material. But I somehow thought that the application was a bit rough because he hadn't been a performer himself. That is what actually compelled me to see a performer, because वो उन दिनों में तो ना TV ना कुछ, I mean television तो था, but India की चीज़ें you couldn't see. अब तो you know everything is exposed and you can. तो उन दिनों में I hadn't seen a Kathak performer, a real Kathak performer who is steeped in the real thing. So that's why I wanted to go, and I knew that Birju Maharaj is where Baba's family in a way, So I said to him, very scared, one day to Baba Maharaj, I said, आपसे एक बात करनी है मुझे, if you feel, no sorry, when I was performing at the ceremony, all these masters, Maharaj stopped me, I was doing a piece, ये ceremony का हिस्सा होता है, and said, इस जैसा कोई नहीं है.
Acha, what year was this?
This was 73. And Maharaj said, इस जैसा कोई नहीं है. And I was listening to this and I turned my face away and I said, I don't want to listen to it because I want to grow. बहुत जो हमारे यहाँ पाकिस्तान में क्लासिकल आर्ट्स में जो फौरन उस्ताद का खिताब, and as soon as you have a little bit of a name, people start to say you are the best, and that is what really stops your growth. And I don't know why I was so aware of that, and because my reason was different. I didn't want to be a name. I was after knowledge. I wanted to enrich myself. I knew this knowledge is so deep that I will never be able to say that I know it all. लेकिन उस वक्त मुझे ये एहसास था कि they are actually no, this is not good. I don't want to hear this. So I carried on with my search, and I ended up, but with little understanding with Baba Maharaj, I said, look, whatever I experience, and only with your permission, if you permit me, I will go, and promise you, if you say don't go, I will not go. And I meant it. Because I knew he would not say that. The way I am approaching him is, he took a few days to adjust to that, but he said, ठीक है, जाओ. तो मैंने कहा मैं तो आपकी फैमिली के पास जा रही हूँ, मैं तो किसी बाहर वाले के पास नहीं जा रही. आपने उनके वालिद से सीखा है. और जाहिर है कि मुझे ये एहसास था कि जहाँ पे ये प्रैक्टिस नहीं हो रहा होता वहाँ बढ़ता भी नहीं है. Even teachers can become stale. And ये मुझे अंदाज़ा था कि it has to be, it's a workshop. You have to keep experiment, you have to. So then I went to, in 1980, I went to Birju Maharaj Ji.
And by then you had been living in England for 2 years, and I believe you were sponsored by the Arts Council. Or sponsorship is another big issue because I understand that you were sponsored for a lot of by the British Council, and I just wanted you to speak a bit about sponsorship issues here in Pakistan and how there's such a the different type of sponsorships that you've been.
See, another thing I want to touch before that, it's the political scene, which always has been a great hindrance in the growth of real arts. Bhutto Sahab, and this happened in the first, its history, that I traveled with my entourage because एक वक्त था जब academy बंद हो गई थी because of politics, internal politics.
कब बंद हुई थी किस?
1976.
अच्छा, but that's when you went with Bhutto Sahab.
Unfortunately, that was a very unfortunate thing. And जब वो बंद हुई तो भुट्टो साहब को जाना था दौरे पे, international. So he, for the first time in the history of Pakistan, he took a dance, just my solo performance. Zia Muhyiddin Sahab, myself and my 6 musicians. We toured the whole of America, Canada, Germany, पूरा world tour था. and also Kabul later on. And what would happen is the Pakistan used to host one day, and I would perform proper, auditorium, and just my performance. And then, the host country would be performing, their artists would be performing. So in a way, Bhutto Sahab was very supportive, but, I don't know why he did not think of, uh, training his own country, in these arts. But okay. So one day we had a meeting and he invited just me and Zia Mohyuddin Sahab to Islamabad and said ki, Bhai, he asked me, he said, Bhai, kahan sikhana chahti ho? Where do you want your academy? This is in 1976. And I said, I don't want to. I don't want an academy. I want to go and learn from India. I said to him, he said, you can't do that. And in my heart, I said, I will do that. That was 1979, because, I wanted to learn. And he said, you can't do that. And in 1980, only after leaving Pakistan, because in 1978, when Ziaul Haq came, I was banned. I was doing a serial on TV, Pile, and I had only done 5 episodes and I was banned. So Zia Mohyuddin Sahab already had left about a year ago because Bhutto Sahab was arrested and all that. And also, बड़ी एक अजीब सी situation हो गई थी country की about arts. He left, he was very frustrated. He left and he went to England and he said, मैंने कहा मैं तो I'm doing my serial, so I'll join you later. And I could only do 5 episodes and they banned me from dance.
But they recorded 13, I believe. They aired 5.
No.
Acha,
No. I only recorded 5.
Acha.
I was supposed to. It was an ongoing thing. And I only recorded 5 and I was banned. And then I said, okay, I was so scared. I thought I will not be able to even practice my art here in this country, in this situation. So I was absolutely, sad and frustrated and all that. And I didn't know what to do. So I just bought a ticket and I was leaving, and I was stopped at the airport and they said, you can't leave the country. And you have to go to Islamabad and take permission from the Ministry of Culture. So मैं फिर overnight Islamabad गई. And by then army boots were all over, and I could hear. They made me wait in a veranda for about 4 hours, and I know they were enjoying inside, making me wait there. And they said, after 4 hours of waiting there, he said, क्या बात है जी, क्या चाहिए, आइए अंदर आइए, क्या बात है आप मसला. मैंने कहा भाई ये बात है, मुझे I have to leave. And they made me sit on a table, and my all sides, they were, believe me, they were just like I have committed a crime. And they said, bhai kyun, why do you want to leave the country? And I said, because my husband is there and he's not well. And he said, bhai कोई telegram वगैरह है कुछ आपके पास? मैंने कहा नहीं, मैं वो तो नहीं ले. I was so scared, as well as I was trying to keep my cool. And they said, अच्छा, तो why do you want to go and all that. बहुत ही interrogation के बाद they said they had prepared a form for me, which they said कि आप sign करें. And believe it or not, the form, what they had written was, you will not dance anywhere in the world unless the government of Pakistan wants you to. And I had to sign that. And मैंने कहा ठीक है, पेन दीजिए. And I signed it, and just a tear rolled down my cheeks. But the strength, I said, आपको मैं बताती हूँ. How can you stop somebody from breathing, So it's like that. So फिर मैंने वो sign किया, मुझे उन्होंने जाने दिया. And the first thing after I landed in London was I received an invitation from from France to participate representing Pakistan, and there were 22 countries participating. And you know, the normal procedure is कि वो लिखते हैं आपकी government को कि how honored we are कि आपका artist हमारे उसमें perform कर रहा है. So the embassy in Paris refused to give the flag. All the flags were outside, and only our embassy said, no, we don't want to know. We don't want to be linked with this. So I was also very scared. I thought कि अगर मैं जाऊँ तो ये मुझे कहीं deport ना कर दें when I come back. So we knew some ex embassy people, Khalid Hassan और ये सारे, उनसे मुलाकात हुई. उनसे कहा भाई how far can they go? Because I was absolutely, I knew I will go. मैं गई, मैंने perform किया. Only our flag was not inside, outside. And I said I'm representing Pakistan. So, you know, I was the flag there. तो फिर मैंने रहना शुरू किया वहाँ पे इंग्लैंड में, और luckily you know, the Arts Council of England gave me another home as an artist.
Starting in 1990 or in 1980?
Well, I mean, I was, you know, I people knew me a little bit here. जब मैं वहाँ गई तो बिल्कुल ही एक ऐसा, because in दिनों में actually England में भी now there's a lot of dance there, and we initiated that quite a lot. Few, you know, people who went at that time. Now it's been taught in schools. It's part of curriculum. I've got many students who've got their own companies also.
So I just wanted to clarify. You mentioned that Bhutto said to you that you can't go to India. Was that in 1976 that he said that, or?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes. Eventually you started your own dance company. I believe your first choreography was Time Cycle. Is that right? And that was in collaboration with Kumudini Lakia. And that was 1991, and the Time Cycle won many awards. So is that the first year that your company was formed as well, in 1991?
देखिए जी, उससे पहले बहुत struggle है बहुत, because you know, to really start in a new place. I started obviously, and I was performing my solo, but very few performances. But the Arts Council of Britain came to know about me in a few years' time, because you know, they had, I don't know, and they offered grant. And then in 1984 I started to teach.
In Bharatiya, you were the first Pakistani to teach at the Bharatiya Vidya
Yes,
Bhavan.
Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is an Indian culture center.
Is that where you first began teaching?
And they had only Bharatanatyam and Kathakali. And they were all South Indians, and South Indians ran Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan as well. So because there were not many places one could go to even, you know, feel the atmosphere of arts. So I went there, and I wanted a place for practice. I didn't have a place for practice. And then I talked to them and I said, I'm from Pakistan and I do Kathak, and I would like to, you know, come here and practice or and perform. तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं जी, हम तो, I mean, like, कोई ख़ास मुझे उसमें encourage नहीं किया गया. Till later, actually, from the board, some people saw me who were at in the board at the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, and they said कि आप you please perform. After the performance, straight away they announced that, you know, she would be teaching here. We are honored to see her performance. And so that's how in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, first time in London, Kathak classes started.
And actually not just London, but I believe first time in the West that Kathak, that you introduced Kathak to the whole Western world. Isn't that?
Well, you know, London is their main city, so you can say that, because when in 1 month's time I had about 80 students, and they performed within a year also, because, you know, according to their but then my ex-husband Zia Muhyiddin Saab had to move for his own work to Birmingham. and I had to leave this setup, sadly. But then we went to Birmingham, and then I started to teach at the Midlands Arts Centre, which is in Birmingham, and that's where also I have, taught for many, many years.
And so the Midlands Arts Centre were you the first South Asian dance artist to teach there?
No, there was one
South.
Bharatanatyam person, yeah.
Acha, Bharatanatyam.
Yeah, but
right.
Kathak first time, yes, yes.
I don't mean that you're the first one who introduced Kathak, but certainly you were the first one in the Western world who was recognized, I think, in the way that you were. Also, I wanted to speak about the different choreographies that you've done. I noticed that for you started with Time Cycle, which I don't know what Time Cycle is about. Is it about? I know a lot of your future, the ones after that, the high Dancing in the Mist, and Rang, Taxila. These were all relating. It seemed like you were trying to make an effort to change the themes of Kathak in such a way that they were relevant to you, to your identity as a Muslim and as someone who, originated from the land that is from this land that is in Pakistan, Taxila. And it seems like you were trying to make a statement that Kathak, either it was a personal thing for you, or you were trying to make Kathak more acceptable in the Pakistan by linking it to Islam and to spirituality and to.
I just feel that an artist who's in search and who's researching all the time. It's not that I was trying to do anything. Obviously, I was. There was no effort. It's like a painter painting. And expanding, right? It's about sharing. I've never thought of a performance as one-way thing. आप मेरी audience कभी मेरी performance से बाहर नहीं होती. मेरी audience is part of my performance because it's not me who's performing. Sometimes they are performing for me also. And it's so, it's such a sharing. Or usi mein, it's like I must say that because I was teaching, I had built up a number of students who also I was responsible that they should also get to perform. And they should also, go one stage up every year. So to keep their interest alive, क्योंकि West में भी कोई इस तरह की वो नहीं थी opportunities for dancers, Kathak dancers to have be part of an institute or anything. So I had to provide that also. So to keep their interest alive and also to expand it to a family, I wanted to touch different topics. Time Cycle was based on life cycle, and I just took it, behind every production that I choreographed, or I even thought I had many, many sleepless nights, even to think of a name, appropriate name, and the concept. So उसमें life cycle में बिल्कुल exactly इसी तरह जैसे हमारे classical arts में सम आता है, सुबह से लेके रात तक there's rhythm to the day, right? उसमें कितना कुछ हो जाता है हर एक के साथ, So that was the concept, and there's again a revolutionary choreographer in India, Kumudini Lakhia. I wanted to also again learn more about how she choreographs. So I went to India to see how she choreographs, because I did not understand the word choreography, because I thought our classical arts are already so beautifully choreographed by great saints and masters that the vocabulary is already presented to us. तो उसमें मैं क्या choreography करूँ? But obviously it was about concepts, it was about ideas, और वो आसान चीज़ नहीं होती, because when you are classically deeply kind of rooted, तो उसमें फिर कंटेम्प्रराइज करना बहुत ज़्यादा एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की बात है. एंड आई थिंक दैट ओनली पीपल हु आर स्टीप्ड इन देयर रूटेड कल्चर एंड आर्ट्स can take off in directions which touch the different times that we are living in. ये नहीं होता कि आप वहीं फंस जाते हैं उस टाइम में. Classical to me does not mean that. It means that we need to expand more. आज की बात भी करनी चाहिए. हम हमेशा मुग़ल दौर तो नहीं है, लेकिन उसकी खूबसूरती, उसकी ब्यूटी, उसको सामने रखते हुए और उसको ताकि वो ख़राब ना हो. इट्स लाइक अ मिनिएचर पेंटर. मिनिएचर पेंटर को आप कहें कि जी आप कंटेम्प्रराइज करें इसे, तो उसको वो बहुत ही कोई डेप्थ वाला मिनिएचर पेंटर होगा जो कंटेम्प्रराइज कर ले विदाउट हार्मिंग द रियल थिंग. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव केप्ट इन माइंड. आई हैव बीन माई वर्स्ट क्रिटिक ऑल माई लाइफ, एंड यू नो पीपल वुड थिंक दैट यू नो दे माइट थिंक और हुएवर, आई डोंट नो, बट कि मैं आई नेवर become happy with my performances. I always want to see more. I'm a student of life, and that's how but otherwise, if I stop learning, I can't, I shouldn't be teaching then. Because my students, I have to tell them, I have to bring the vastness of the subject in front of them, instead of my name. That's not important. Names are not important. What you've done in life is important. What you keep doing in life is important. And this is what I'm teaching, that you know, please, no egos, because then these arts would not actually penetrate inside you. You will not be able to, because that's a huge surrender, you know. So many, Rang was based on Hazrat Amir Khusro, great Sufi saint, humanist, writer, poet. And he already has presented us with beautiful compositions, you know, and they are unexplored. But we did Qawwali also in that. Aaj Rang Hai Ema. Then Rumi's was Tehai, based on Rumi's works, was Tehai. I went to Konya for about 3 months for research. And for Hazrat Amir Khusro, I went to Delhi to research. Over here also one could, but I actually wanted to take permission from him. I said, I cannot bear the burden of, you know, working on your, exploring your work. You have to help me. So it's like that, you know, I feel that we cannot just take off from nothing.
And then Dancing in the Mist was connecting the ascetics here in Punjab with the faqir, with the dervishes of Turkey, I think.
Yeah.
95. You know, it's just before we should open it up to questions, but I just wanted to, because we were discussing it yesterday, and you said that you were very moved and that this was something that is of importance to you. You know, the fact that women have been sidelined in this field of Kathak as far as recognition is concerned, and you are certainly someone who is a pioneer in that sense. And also you're a pioneer because you have the themes that you've introduced, because our subcontinent has been through so many upheavals with independence and you know, the British, the feudal Muslim, the Muslim empire, then the British, and then the independence movement. And obviously all of this has affected the way we think about our culture. And it has had, you know, drastic effects on Kathak as well, in the sense that we used to have courtesans who developed this form a lot, and they were all Muslim women, but they are nameless. We don't know their names. The only names that we know now are the male protagonists in India, like Birju Maharaj or Achan Maharaj, or, you know, but we don't have the that recognition given to these Muslim courtesans who are really the ones that we should be thankful for. And so that's why I just think it's wonderful that we have you. At least we have a name for, you know, a woman Muslim artist who is finally recognized. But you know, I feel that there's in order for you to make yourself, you know, you've had to seek a lot of spirituality in your themes and kind of break away from the connection with just romance and the way the courtesans, you've had to take it in a different direction, which is beautiful. You've refined it a lot, but I just think it's time now that we are mature enough to recognize that it's not a connection that we should be ashamed of. We should recognize the role that the Muslim women of the past have played in developing this art.
You see, these arts are very ancient. First of all, let me say that धुरपद, पखावज, ये सारे बहुत पुराने आर्ट्स हैं, and they originated. There's a holy shastra book, Natya Shastra, and because unfortunately every child of this country should study that, because it has laid down the rules of arts. Theatre, music, dance. Kathak kya hai? Kathak is an amalgamation, a complete package which has drama, painting, dance, obviously rhythm, melody. You just, एक मजमुआ है इन चीज़ों का Kathak. And Kathak artist is somebody who paints, who works with the abhinaya. Abhinaya is the expressions, storytelling. तो Kathak का मतलब ही है. Kathak is the one who tells story. Ab, relating to different times is pointless. We know the history. We know courtesans existed. We know people are dancing. We know ustads are there. What are we doing? Are we really taking it? I mean, is it a cause? Is it, I know, luckily, I belonged to the heritage, rich heritage. In my family also, there was poetry, there was drama, there was music. So I grew up in that, luckily, without having to go outside to learn the aesthetics. So if you have aesthetics and your wisdom is at work all the time and your critic is alive, your student is alive, then you can see an art like Kathak to be as vast as the universe. So, instead of, I know that's all history, what you're talking about. Yeah, and we are very grateful to those people because we wouldn't be here if they were not there. But taking that richness, like Islamic geometry and as I have just mentioned, miniature painting, एक ही वक्त में miniature painting और ये explored. It was explored by Mughals. But before that also dance existed. And it was in a very raw form, especially Kathak. Because the Mughals took it as an art which could actually expand further. Like Bharatanatyam, you can't, it's been said, Bharatanatyam has a system very much like the Western music, It's like reading music and playing. Kathak and Khayal Gaiki, दो चीज़ें हैं जिसमें ख्याल का मतलब ही इमेजिनेशन है. ये दोनों एक वक्त में शुरू हुई थी और इनमें अपनी इमेजिनेशन का बहुत हाथ है. कथक हर एक का मुख्तलिफ है, हर एक की कहानी मुख्तलिफ है, जाहिर है, वो तो एक ऑब्वियस बात है. बट कथक एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो कि आपके अंदर से निकलना चाहिए, आपके अंदर की ज़बान है. ऑब्वियसली देयर इज़ ग्रामर टू इट, there's technique to it, और वो उस पे से आपको गुजरना है, वो laborious बात से गुजरना है. But even then, if somebody tells me, okay, I like to wear this kind of a costume, this is my favorite color, this is how I want to treat this piece, because I have explored a little bit of my own aesthetics, it will be different. And so.
And each artist, no matter what the form is, the importance is the way what the artist does with the form. I think the artist is more important than the...
Yeah, but some people are just merely doing it for entertaining. It's why are you involved and what is your approach about performance is very important. कि मैं अब यही खुश हो जाऊं कि मेरा बहुत नाम हो रहा है और बस, और या मैं ये वाकई एक कॉज लेके चली हूँ कि कुछ भी हो जाए मुझे कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ नहीं करना, मुझे सीखते जाना है, मुझे सिखाते जाना है, मुझे खुद भी ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं एक्सप्लोर करना, इतना कुछ है. आई मीन वन लाइफ टाइम इज़ नॉट इनफ फॉर दिस आर्ट फॉर्म and you need many lives. So
But you've definitely taken so questions, we open it up to questions.
आपने फरमाया very talk, and I think the full marks to the young lady sitting on your left. She drew the best out of you. Perhaps she was your student. But what I am trying to say is that एक चीज़ आप भूल गई कि सिर्फ एक स्कूल में for about 10 years बेगम मजीद मलिक the great lady got Nalima Ghanshyam, which perhaps is the name of Ghanshyam Saab's wife, और उन्होंने almost compulsory किया था और वो सीखते रहे और वो बच्चियाँ आज भी regret करती हैं.
नहीं, मैं भूली नहीं, बहुत से नाम है, लेकिन ये कि चलिए आपने याद करा दिया, अच्छी बात है. थैंक यू सो मच.
नाहिद, हम आपसे इतना इंस्पायर्ड है और इतना देखा आपका ये सब वर्क और डेडिकेशन. मैं ये पूछना चाह रही थी, आपकी एवोल्यूशन पे तो इतनी बात हुई कि किस तरह आपने कहाँ से कहाँ आई और कहाँ तक पहुँची, लेकिन आप जब दौराने रक़्स जब सीख रही थी और अब भी जब आप परफॉर्म भी करती हैं और अब एकेडमी भी चला रही हैं, तो आप अपने दिन का कितना हिस्सा निकालती हैं इसकी रियाज में, यानी कितना देना चाहिए इसमें महारत हासिल करने के लिए रक़्स की सनत में, ये मैं मालूम करना चाहती हूँ आपसे.
मेरा ख्याल में ये एक इंसान का ओढ़ना बिछोना बन जाता है. It's not the time in the studio that I can tell you कि अगर मैं जाके बाकायदा घुंघरू बांध के रियाजत the physical work, वो अगर मैं आपको बताऊं तो वो भी कोई 6 घंटे चाहिए, और उसके अलावा भी आप उसी के साथ रह रहे होते हैं. आप मेंटल रियाज बहुत होता है उसमें, एक अपनी स्पिरिट को, जैसे सांस को ट्यून करना है, एग्जैक्टली इसी तरह हम योगा के थ्रू अपनी अंदर की स्ट्रिंग्स को ट्यून करते हैं, टू टाइटन देम टू अ सर्टन लेवल और लूजन देम टू अ सर्टन लेवल. बिल्कुल जिस तरह साज में तारें उतर जाती हैं या चढ़ जाती हैं, इसी तरह हमारी तारें भी उतरती चढ़ती रहती हैं. तो इसलिए हमें वो ट्यूनिंग और वो रियाजत, वो बस वो फिर एक, मेरे बाबा महाराज जी कहते थे कि एक होता है फ़न बराए फ़न, एक होता है बराए ज़िंदगी. तो ये सारा आपका बैठना उठना ये रियाजत है, लेकिन पुट ऑन नहीं है, बहुत फ़र्क है. पुट ऑन उस वक्त होता है जब बस थोड़ा सा आप उसको वक्त देते और बाकी वक्त आप बेगम बने हुए हैं, नहीं, फिर पुट ऑन होता है.
Does anyone want to ask about dance and education?
Can I ask about your time spent with Birju Maharaj? How long were you with him and what was the experience like?
I went to him in 1980 and he was very, very kind to me because I think he must have seen the keenness in me as a student, and I was absolutely full of admiration, and I'm still full of admiration for him and his art. बस वो 1980 से जो बात शुरू हुई चल रही है, वो ख़त्म थोड़ी होती है. यू कांट से, you leave an institute but you don't leave the teachers ever. उन्हीं के बलबूते पे तो आप खड़े होते हैं, उन्हीं से तो आप लेते हैं. तो ये कोई एक वक्त कैद वक्त की नहीं है कि मैं आपको बताऊं बस 10 साल और अब I don't know where he is. No, I know and he knows. So we are together.
एक तरह से तो उनका हो गया. एक तो बहुत खुशी हुई आपको सुन के, देखने का तो शरफ बहुत दफ़ा हुआ है कि ये जो अभी आप कह रही थी, इसमें कोई मिसाल दें सीखने के हवाले से. आपने इंडिया में, क्योंकि आपने कहा ना कि आप जो परफॉर्म कर रहा है उससे सीखना चाह रही थी, फिर आप इंडिया गई, तो कुछ वो सीखने के हवाले से कोई एक आध मिसाल क्या हासिल हुआ है आप?
सीखने के हवाले से यही मैं कहूँगी कि आई वॉजेंट आफ्टर मटीरियल. ये हर इंसान समझेगा जो लिखता है, पेंट करता है, वो समझेगा जो मैं कह रही हूँ होपफुली, कि मुझे मटेरियल नहीं चाहिए था कि मतलब किताबें भर लूँ. मुझे एप्लीकेशन चाहिए थी. मुझे ये देखना था कि वो उसी मटेरियल को इस्तेमाल करते हुए वहाँ से यहाँ कैसे आते हैं और किस खूबसूरती से आते हैं. वो एक बहुत एक सादा चीज़ भी हो सकती थी और एक बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब मटेरियल का मतलब है कि हमारे कथक में भी बोल होते हैं, तालें होती हैं, रागों में भी बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड राग हैं जो असल में इस्तेमाल नहीं होते. पूरी ज़िंदगी अब मतलब एक गाने वाले जो होते हैं या वाला या वाली, वो पूरी ज़िंदगी में चंद राग गा सकते हैं बस. उनको चंद रागों पे उबूर होता है. उनको हम और राग कितने हैं, तालें कितनी हैं, लेकिन इस्तेमाल में जो आती हैं, जो इस्तेमाल में चीज़ें आती हैं वो भी बहुत मुश्किल हैं, जिनको कि आज भी मैं हाथ डालते हुए डरती हूँ. कुछ बंदिशें हैं कथक में जो बोल हैं और वो उनसे मैंने कभी ये नहीं कहा कि मुझे तिहाइयाँ सीखनी है आपसे. तिहाइयाँ अब मैं समझाऊँ कि तिहाइयाँ क्या है. तिहाई एक क्रिसेंडो और बिगिनिंग भी हो सकती है, अ पैटर्न रिपीटेड 3 times. तो ये टुकड़े में सीखूं या मैं इस तरह की बोल सीखूं, मैंने एक दिन भी उनसे ये नहीं कहा. मुझे सिर्फ ये देखना था उनको उठते बैठते, चलते फिरते, बात करते. और आई एम टेलिंग यू, ही वाज परफॉर्मिंग टू मी ऑल द टाइम. ही फाउंड एन ऑडियंस एंड बट वो पुट ऑन नहीं था, लेकिन वो एक मैं खुद बहुत ज़्यादा खुशी महसूस करती हूँ जब एक या दो स्टूडेंट्स इस तरह के हों जो जिनकी खोज मुझसे भी ज़्यादा हो. दैट पुट्स मी इन अ वेरी स्ट्रेंज काइंड ऑफ अ पोजिशन, क्योंकि मुझे एक उनके सामने एक उनको आई हैव टू कीप देम इंस्पायर्ड एंड प्रोवोक्ड. तो वो बहुत ज़रूरी है एक ये जो, क्योंकि हमारा तो एक छोटे दायरे में रहता है, हम मासेस के साथ ये नहीं कर सकते. जी
अस्सलाम वालेकुम. अच्छा, मेरा नाम सीमा है. मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहूँगी कि पाकिस्तान में आप कथक को या क्लासिकल डांस को कहाँ देखना चाहती हैं, और यहाँ पर एजुकेशन के हिसाब से स्कूल पे इसको होना चाहिए एकेडमिक एज अ सेशन, जैसे बच्चों को हम दूसरे सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ाते हैं तो ये होना चाहिए, क्योंकि आजकल बच्चों में मैंने देखा ये अवेयरनेस ज़्यादा आ गई है कि वो क्लासिकल डांस की तरफ जा रही हैं, स्पेशली बच्चियाँ. तो आप क्या देखती हैं कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में कहाँ तक ये आना चाहिए और कितना आ चुका है और आना चाहिए, इसके लिए आपका क्या होगा सजेशन या क्या?
लाहौर में अभी मैं इस वक्त सिखा रही हूँ, कुछ इरादा बन रहा है, कराची में भी लोग कह रहे हैं. तो असल में सिखाना भी बहुत ज़रूरी है, जाहिर है. एक तो हम खुद खड़े में ना, अब ये कोई आसान आर्ट नहीं है कि आप सारी ज़िंदगी परफॉर्म करते रहें. बहुत ज़बरदस्त ये मुश्किल चीज़ है, सब आर्ट फॉर्म्स में से मुश्किल, जिसमें कि आपको फिज़िकलिटी की भी इतनी ज़रूरत है, उसका लेबोरियस साइड इज़ देयर एज़ वेल. फिर ये कि लोगों की उम्मीदें ही बहुत और तरह की होती हैं. उनको क्या पता कि आप किस किस चीज़ से गुज़र रहे हैं, पता नहीं आपके जिस्म का क्या हाल है, आपकी रूह का क्या हाल है, लेकिन यू आर देयर परफॉर्मिंग. एक तो ये कोशिश है कि परफॉर्मेंसेस के थ्रू. दूसरा ये कि मेरे शागिर्द बहुत अच्छे तैयार हो रहे हैं लाहौर में, and they are all from, you know, already artistic backgrounds or sensitive people, painters, architects, or from all walks of life. तो पिछले चंद सालों से मैं उन्हें सिखा रही हूँ, and I'm making them perform as well. I mean, like they are performing already in Lahore. I wanted them to be here as well, मगर वो नहीं हो सका. तो वो इसी तरह सिखा के जब आप एग्जाम्पल्स को देखते हैं, और दूसरा ये कि हम लोग एजुकेशन सिस्टम में पेनिट्रेट करने की कर रहे हैं, बल्कि कोशिश नहीं कर रहे हैं. ऑलरेडी माई 4 स्टूडेंट्स आर टीचिंग NS टेक्निक, Nahid Siddiqui technique, which is we have a proper syllabus. I'm working on my notation system, which would take time. वो बहुत बड़ा काम होता है. तो वो ऑलरेडी हम उसको एक सिस्टम को इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं. अभी तक क्या होता था कि मास्टर साहब आ रहे हैं बैक डोर से, डांस भी सिखा के चले गए, गाना भी सिखा के चले गए, और कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. मतलब ठीक है, सब ने हल्ला गुल्ला स्टूडेंट्स ने कर लिया. अब हम उसको लेके चल रहे हैं कि एक प्रॉपर सिस्टम के साथ किस तरह. तो यही कोशिश कराची में है. ऑलरेडी मेरा जो कोर्स है वो सिखाया जा रहा है इंग्लैंड में इन यूनिवर्सिटीज़, तो वो ये कोशिश है इसी तरह ही होगा, जाहिर है, और परफॉर्मेंसेस के ज़रिए बहुत होगा, वर्कशॉप्स के ज़रिए होगा. एंड वी नीड स्पॉन्सरशिप एंड वी नीड सपोर्ट फॉर दैट. आई कांट डू इट अलोन. ये बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर है. जी शेमा, स्पॉन्सरशिप की बात हो गई है जी.
अच्छा, आपसे एक सवाल है.
जी
आप
जी जी जी.
कथक डांस, नृत्य डांस और तांडव डांस, इन तीनों में क्या फ़र्क है?
जी, नृत्य असल में यहाँ पे वो कुछ थोड़ी सी चीज़ें जो हैं वो गलतुल आम हो चुकी हैं, हो गई हैं लफ्ज़. और मैं भी जब सीख रही थी तो मसलन भाव करते हैं, भाव लफ्ज़ है, और अभिनय जो है उसको एक्सप्रेशन कहते हैं. नृत्य मीन्स समथिंग विच हैज़ एक्सप्रेशन, जैसे स्टोरी टेलिंग साइड ऑफ इट. और नृत्य इज़ प्योर डांस. डांस इज़ डिवाइडेड इनटू 2 सेक्शंस, जिसमें आप कहानी बयान करें या ख्याल गायकी पे या इस तरह की जिसमें लफ्ज़ हों. और नृत्य इज़ प्योर डांस जो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट डांस है, ठीक है. और तांडव मीन्स पावरफुल, स्ट्रॉन्ग. तो तांडव का मतलब ये ज़्यादातर मर्द या वो एक एक्सप्रेशन है तांडव, पावरफुल, मैनली, स्ट्रॉन्ग.
I'm afraid we're out of time.